NIL, is it good for college sports? Is NIL, is it good? Do we care? Do fans care? For me personally, I think it's good, but they got to make some restrictions. They got to put some stuff in there to make this thing normal. Now, the one thing that I will say, and I'll just say, I heard some bullshit today from Nick Saban talking about his wife says the kids don't care anymore. All they care about is how much money they got. Well, his
Right.
wife was sitting back cashing a big fat check that he was receiving, and she didn't say anything about that. So I don't know why she's talking about why players can't get anything, because I don't remember Nick Saban taking any pay cuts to keep coaching at Alabama.
Exactly.
I don't
The
remember
high,
that.
the highest paid person in every state is the college football coach, right?
Exactly.
What NIL did, last year was the Power Five put $677 million back to the kids. So is it a good deal? Absolutely. Does it need some tweaks there? When I see some people saying it's ruining college football. Well, it's ruining the nostalgia and the pomp and circumstance and the dominance of Alabama every year. It needs some tweaks. There needs to be some commitments from the kids, either 2 or 4 years worth of commitments, and there needs to be something set aside. I couldn't imagine how much of a target I'd be with a Lamborghini and $700,000 in my pocket in Manhattan, Kansas. Right?
Correct.
That's not safe.
No.
Or do these NIL, these contributors and sponsors need to put equal amount of money back for the kid once he graduates or once he turns 21 or in some sort of growing fund? I'm all for that. But giving an 18-year-old a Phantom, a Rolls Royce Phantom, and $500,000, one, your life is never going to be better. I don't care what you go on to do. A free Rolls Royce Phantom and $500,000 is going to exceed your ceiling, at least financially, anywhere else. So I don't think it's fair to these kids to not put something back and not have a requirement of them. But as far as just sitting around and letting the coaches and the NCAA make the money and then freaking PlayStation and everybody else cash in, no, that's crazy. I had
Right.
2 season-ending surgeries, in my time in Manhattan, and I got my medical bills paid, right? And everybody, oh, you got an education. All right, you're right, I sure did. now that I'm 46, let's cost average that and say maybe there should have been a little gravy. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it, buddy.
Well, here's the thing with NIL. Look, we all know that it needs to be tweaked some. There's got to be some restrictions here or there because it's getting crazy. Having said that, you can't tell me that letting the athletes get a piece of the pie is a bad thing. Now, here's the pushback, Chris, that people always give is, well, the smaller schools can't compete. And my question was, when could the smaller schools ever compete?
Right.
And nobody cared then. I go, so why does everybody care now? It's like the smaller schools. And I don't mean like the lower division schools. I'm talking about, if you're talking about an Alabama against, I don't know, let's just say San Diego State or even lower. Smaller schools like that in smaller Division I, they can't compete. Well, they could never compete.
They could never compete.
I go, so what are we talking about? I mean, well, the money that they can get is just the money that those guys already got. It was just they did it illegally. Now they do it legally. I go, so none of that changed.
You're still going to get better talent at the small school because that kid who didn't get an offer from the Power Five or from a contender and is like, well, I guess I might as well go start my own contracting business. Wait, I can get $50K to go play? All right, that's better than I was going to make, and I still get to play football. It's going to elevate the game. There just needs to be some holdback. I'm not saying for the schools, probably for the kids. I need to shout out Jason, though, Brian, for probably the funniest comment of all time with the Chappelle Show quote there. But, I think that holding it back for the kids is really the only thing we need to talk about. The programs don't need any more money. Trust me, they've got all the sponsorship. They've been putting those banners up. Little Apple Toyota made money when you and I were in Manhattan.
Correct.
Right? Free banner off anything that happened over near that sidelines. You got to go pee in a water bottle? Better be right in front of the Little Apple Toyota sign. So we're getting free air coverage over it. Come on.
Yeah, it's just wild. Here's the thing. And I know everybody, or I shouldn't say everybody, the people that push back on athletes get enough, the education is enough. I would listen to that argument a little bit if athletes were able to work. Because right now, people say, hey, you get your education paid for. And I say, well, okay, but I don't have any money. I don't have any money to spend. And they say, well, neither do other college kids. So they got to get student loans. You're right. But I'm not able to work. You won't let me go get a job.
Right.
If I'm able to go get a job, then there's no argument to that. You can't fight back to that.
Also,
but when you tell me I can't work, but then I don't have any money, then what do you do? And I'm the perfect example of that because my mom was a teacher.
Right.
And while teachers, she wasn't broke, but she didn't have thousands of dollars to be sending me every month for me to do anything. I go, so the little scraps that she was able to give me, okay, I made it work, but I couldn't go get a job. So now you're telling me I can't get any money, but we also won't let you work. Well, then what? I mean, none of that is fair. That's all I'm saying.
So I think they can work now, but we couldn't. But I think the problem was you couldn't make money off your own image and likeness. That's my biggest problem is, okay, you can't work, but wait, I can't go, sign a jersey and give it to a kid, or I can't go read at a school or anything like that because you own that and you get to put it in a commercial, put it in a highlight film, put it in a get hype video. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Correct.
Come on, that's crazy, misuse of things that you didn't even create. So I think that there's some regulation needed before one of these kids, something bad happens to them because they got a $250,000 chain and they just walk outside of stadium and the USC stadium. But I think some regulation helps, but I definitely think it's a good thing. There's got to be a happy balance. So
here's a good question here is that Sharp says, how does it affect the team when you got the big boys making huge money and other key contributors make fractions? Why don't you ask that to an NFL team? Because it happens every single day. I go, so the quarterback, he could suck. For instance, Daniel Jones sucks, but he makes $40 million a year. They just got rid of a running back and wouldn't pay that guy, and he basically made the team. So, I mean, it happens in every single job all over America.
Well,
there's guys that make more than other guys. That's not an argument.
And in that case, Saquon Barkley can go do a Campbell soup commercial and a Progressive insurance commercial, and Daniel Jones can't because he sucks.
Exactly.
But the old way in college, you couldn't even go do that, even if you were, the hometown favorites. How many kids did we play? Maybe walked on and then got a scholarship. And all right, they're Manhattan natives or hometown favorites or Kansas natives. They can't even go out and use that to do a football camp back at their town. That's what my biggest problem with it was.
Well, and also the problem is, and NIL and the transfer portal are tied together. I mean, they are. And Nick Saban coming out and say that today, it just made me laugh because his problem, he's lying. His problem is he can't stash 5-star recruits anymore and just keep rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. He can't just stash those guys on his bench and just, it's just like a factory of football players. Now it's, you know what? If I came here and I'm not going to play, I'm leaving. And don't get me wrong, the transfer portal's got to change. They could change that quickly by just saying you get one free transfer. You can't get another one, or you can transfer again, but you got to sit out. Period. End of story. Unless you actually graduate. That gets fixed overnight, but they won't do it, or they get sued if they try to do it. So it's crazy. But I don't know. NIL is never going to be bad in my eyes. I just saw, and again, it's not just me. It was all of us, Chris. We all hung out. We scrapped together to get money to eat Pizza Shuttle, or we wrote a check to eat Pizza Shuttle. But we'll move on from that. But either way, we didn't have anything. We had no pot to piss in. And we saw people getting money out the yin yang off of what we were doing. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, no, money out the yin yang, pause. I don't know what you did in your spare time at those Fort Riley, those seedy establishments. But Darren's right. It is what it is. Why, when the money swings to where people don't want the money to swing, does it become such a big deal? Maybe this is just the come-upsons or whatever it's called. Like, maybe this is just the way the pendulum swings for right now. Because the same people saying this is an insane amount of money, college kids, are the same people saying, I'm not sending my kid to college, and they're devaluing the degree. But then they're saying, but he's getting a college education. Well, but you don't need a college education because the good old boy network at Texas A&M that I went to, I can now get you, into this industry without you even having to go. They're the same.
Exactly.
You just can't have it fair. And I think it's super ironic that whenever it swings pro athlete, pro poor guy, pro controlled by the people, that is when it becomes a problem.
That's exactly right, man. That's
So it may
exactly
just
right.
be, it is what it is. Before we go, though, I want to remind everybody, CC won his first poll last week. Okay. Because I know that Darren's going to throw it up there. You're not going to be ready. And guys, I'm looking to go back to back. And there's going to be something special in it if I do win it this week. Just letting you guys know.
Well, and I've also got something to say about that. Is
Okay.
if CC happens to win this week, this poll, we're just going to shut down the podcast. We're just going to shut it down completely because it won't be real. If you happen to win, it won't be real. We'll be the Jake Paul of podcasts. We will be fake, and it'll be absolutely ridiculous. So just keep that in mind, people, when we start voting here. Keep that in mind about what we're doing
on the pulse of the people. I do.
What
I think I got my fingers on the pulse of the people, Brian. They need me.
I mean, I don't know if anybody needs you, including your wife, but we'll throw that out there.
Fair enough.
Buddy Clay, let's see this. Buddy Claybon, CC is getting my vote.
Yes, we couldn't have thrown him out. Right
in the chest, waiting for Buddy Claybon if that happens. I've been threatening that for 3 years. It'll happen, though. It'll happen. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens. This is, and again, a lot of this that we're talking about, all these comments and these topics and stuff, people are talking about this all the time. So that's why we keep bringing these to you, people. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. We're having a good time. A good time.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're in Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Wayne, Pennsylvania. Tell everybody what Wayne, because they don't know. We keep bringing it up, but they don't know. Let the people know what Wayne, Pennsylvania is famous for.
Well, I did not know this, but I went to an open house for a builder we had out here. And let's just say that Wayne, Pennsylvania is where old women go to drink wine and damn near attack you if you're under 50 years old. So me and my marketing guy, who's also named Chris, barely made it out with our lives. I mean, it was night of the living dead out here. It was crazy. So Wayne, PA is they need to get the National Guard and start putting some of these cougars down. There you go.
I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm guessing next week or just the next time you go out there, we probably should do instant replay. You need me out there. I will protect you. I will keep them away, make sure you're safe, and we'll do the show live out there, and I'll scour the grounds and make sure that there's no cougars anywhere to be found. That way you are safe. How about we do that?
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
And we got the poll up. Unfortunately, people, this will be one of the last instant replays that we do. 66% CC, 35% Big B. This is ridiculous.
And look at the vote count. We're getting more and more voters. Yes, we can. I think a famous president ran on that platform. Yes, we can. We got him out to vote, and we got 14 votes. Guys, I want you guys to check out the swag that's coming next show, because now, 2-time champ. I'm on my way to 3-peat. That makes it a dynasty.
Do you see, people? Do you see? This is what happens when you do what you do. This is what happens. This is what you got to live with.